Our conversation now is going to be on the Senate and the role of the Senate as defined in the Constitution, which is to promote and protect devolved county governments, the county governments in the country. We have a senator who's here with us. Senator Mumma is our guest. She's currently serving in the Senate, but before this, she understands this Katiba very well. She was in the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights 2003 to 2006, was it?
Yeah.
And then we got in our new constitution. No, we went into 207, 208 violence. And there was a whole conversation about uchaguzi meibiwa and so on and so forth. She sat in the Kriegler Commission that then came and told us, this is what you guys need to do to make sure that future elections don't look like this. Did we listen? Anyway, we had a constitution, and then there was the implementation of the constitution. She sat again in the commission for the implementation of the constitution. You've had this journey. So when it comes to the constitution and our politics, you have it like this. We'll get into the conversation around now, whether we're implementing the constitution properly in devolution. But karibu sana.
Asante sana.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Janet is going to give you the day's quote. Somebody said something many years ago, over 40 years ago, and she'll ask you whether today those words still make sense.
That's true. In October 1984, at the UN General Assembly in New York, Thomas Sankara said, "You cannot carry out fundamental change without a certain amount of madness." What do you make of that? How do you define madness?
Madness is actually moving away from the trend. What seems to be fashionable, actually, or swimming against the tide would be the madness. And I think Sankara meant that it takes courage when wrong is all over, for somebody to have the courage to do what is right.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. To challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Pushing.
Pushing, yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
Challenging the status quo. Would you say that this is what we were doing when we were giving ourselves a constitution? And saying we are decentralizing, we are devolving power from an all-powerful central with a president to take it to the grassroots?
Yes, that's what we were saying, because a democracy assumes that governments will be working for the people. And we often use the mantra of government of the people, for the people, by the people. But when it comes to the practice, the truth is that most governments have not worked for the people. So acknowledging that we were a country that was driven not so much by the people in the sense that was intended or is intended by the principle of democracy, we actually acknowledged that in Kenya, I would bring it or narrow it down to tribalism, that governments of the day actually looked at governance as a tool to help my people, me and my people. And even then, those people, those my people, were not necessarily even the people of, by tribe, as it were, were a small clique that would benefit from government. So when we came up with the new constitution, at the center of it, the #1 tool of equity was devolution. Devolve that power, let the people have a share of these running their own governments, let them have a share of resources, let them take charge of delivering services to their people, so that we have a minimum amount of money that goes to them, so that we can believe that every region, all peoples in Kenya have an opportunity to actually benefit in the governance and the resources of Kenya. Yes.
Beautiful idea that we had.
Absolutely.
And then in 2013, we go into an election.
Yeah.
And we elect our first 47 governments at devolved level. And also, we elect our first 47 senators.
Yeah.
And the Senate is established by the Constitution, Article 96. The Senate represents the counties and serves to protect the interests of the counties and their governments. That in everything that you're doing, you're basically focusing on making sure that devolution is protected.
Yes.
Okay? So many people have talked about those many 12, 13, going into 13 years of devolution. And many questions have been raised about, whether devolution is working or functioning or not. But few people ask the question whether the Senate has actually done this job of representing the counties and serving the interests of counties and their governments. You've joined the Senate in 2022, but there were other 2 sessions of the Senate. How's the Senate been doing this job?
I would say it has, the Senate has attempted to protect devolution, albeit with a few limitations. Not because of the incapacity of the Senate, but a few things in terms of structure. In 2013, when we rolled out on devolution, it was clear that the Jubilee government then was not keen on implementing this devolution. So we had a tussle between the county governments and the national government. National government basically attempting to micromanage and to define what in its view is devolution. You might recall we had Isaac Ruto then as chair of Council of Governors, and there was a big tussle as to when the counties would be allowed to roll. And the issue of the transitional authority then unbundling the functions of the county, and national government basically saying, can we wait? Meantime, can we be taking you through workshops? Can we take the governors through workshops on how to implement devolution, as though they were the ones who understood what devolution was? And you will recall Isaac Ruto was very firm and said, no, we are ready to run. We have been elected by the people. Can we have our functions? And can we start running? And I believe within 3 months, the functions were then, the county governments were allowed to start rolling. And I would say that the first set of governors actually attempted to run governments in accordance with the Constitution. I think they had the help of the CIC at that time, because we were in place as the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution. So we kept coming in to assist in defining whether the implementation was actually moving in accordance with the Constitution. We were led by Charles Nyachaya then, and I think we were a very firm commission in terms of insisting on the implementation of the Constitution. So the first set of Council of Governors had a firm chair and assisted with the CIC. We actually kept holding TI, the Transitional Authority, TA, accountable to ensure that they fast-tracked the issue of unbundling functions to determine which ones are for the counties, which ones are for the national government, and fast-tracking the operationalization of the county governments. And I think the teams then did a good job moving forward. Of course, there was a resistance. We had then a very strong ministry, then Ministry of Devolution and many other things, I forget, headed by then CS Anway Guru. And I must say, at that time, she was a little resistant to the issue of devolution. I was pleasantly surprised when she then became governor and chair of Council of Governors. And she has done a good job trying to also defend the county governments. So power is never released freely. National government has resisted to deliver, and as we are speaking, 13 years down the road, we still have some functions.
You know, you have not mentioned Senate, eh?
Yeah.
You've talked about the Transition Authority, the NCIC, the Council of Governors. The Senate, that first Senate was called Nyumba ya Wazee.
Okay.
And the question was whether anybody got to understand the role of the Senate. And it had very experienced people. I mean, if you just think about them, Memos Wako was there, Orengo was there, Yang Nyong'o was there, Kiraitu Murongi was there, Kajiang was there. All these people understood what the Constitution is all about, but people felt that they are just
didn't understand or
a
resisted.
retirement home.
Yes, at the beginning, now that you mentioned that, at the beginning, everyone was trying to settle into their function. We had not had a Senate for the longest time. And I think when the Constitution was being drafted, most of those guys were in the National Assembly. And at that time, I don't think they imagined that there might be senators. And the Senate was looked at as Nyumba ya Wazee, as you properly put it. And when the functions were being defined, for instance, the legislative function was limited in the Constitution for the Senate. So that the Senate has the function, we are supposed to look at the laws that relate to the counties. Apparently, we are not supposed to look at laws or bills that can be considered to be money bills. But if you look at any law, in my view, any law that you pass that touches on health, that touches even on security, will affect counties. You don't have constituents for the National Assembly and constituents for the Senate. You don't have constituents for the county governments and constituents for the national executive. So because the constituents are the same, all laws affect them as counties and as people of Kenya. So the Senate, I think when we were passing the Constitution, we limited their legislative function, and that has caused a lot of tension between the National Assembly and the Senate. It has been subject to a lot of litigation when some laws have been passed by National Assembly without involving the Senate. A few of those have been declared unconstitutional. So I believe we were not as vigilant. And currently, Eric, we have drafted a constitutional amendment bill to try and actually give the Senate full legislative mandate so that the Senate would have a say on a law that is being passed. The Finance Act affects counties.
Yep.
So if you decide Senate cannot look at it because it is a money bill, I think it doesn't make sense. So when you decide the security law should not affect counties, counties experience issues relating to security. So the Senate needs to speak with.
Before you continue, just contextualize for a lot of people who may not realize that not all legislation goes through the Senate.
Yes.
Which ones and which ones do not?
Now, the Senate is supposed to legislate laws relating to counties. So a law that affects counties must be passed through the Senate. And then the law also says that the Senate shall not process laws that are money bills. Money bills are bills that will have a financial implication.
Conflict of interest, finance bill, all of those.
Yes. conflict of interest has actually passed through the Senate. They treated it as a broad issue. But it also has financial implications.
So basically the Senate shall not touch the budget.
Yes.
Finance bill.
Will not look at the finance
appropriations bills.
Yes. But Eric, tell me which law has no financial implications?
Right.
All laws have financial implications when you come to implement. So it is an anomaly that I hope the Kenyan people can correct. It is an anomaly which, if we come into play as the Senate, we might be able to check some of the things that are happening in the National Assembly. When the National Assembly appropriates or looks at the budget, because they are now also implementing, they look at it with self-interest. And even as we blame the executives for skewed or inequitable deployment of the budgets across the different regions, you will find that that decision is made by the National Assembly. So
without
when you find, when you find the chair of the budget committee has given his constituency amounts for roads that are even more than what one county has for all its functions, because they are there and they can influence how much money goes there. Who checks them when they do that? If you had the Senate also looking at those budgets, the Senate focuses on equity. And the Senate is actually designed in such a way that you'll have 47 centers in the Senate trying to ensure that that budget is equitable.
I want to ask you, right now there's been I don't know if this is related, but governors have been pushing for financial autonomy. What's your assessment of that? Is it related to what you're saying? Because may or may not be, but first I want to get your reaction and assessment. The governors have been really pushing for financial autonomy in a sense. What's your assessment of that? And does it tie into what you've just spoken to?
Actually, governors have financial autonomy in the sense that once we do the vertical sharing of nationally collected revenue, we then decide in Senate how to distribute it across the 47. And once you get your budget, it is up to you to deploy that budget in accordance with your county integrated development plan. So it is up to counties to decide how they want to carry out their functions, and their functions are clear. And it's up to them to determine how much they want to deploy. So a county can decide maybe year one, we want to put 40% of our development budget on health because we have a greater need. They might decide they want to do it equitably or equally among the wards. So they actually have a latitude, I mean, some freedom to implement their budgets. And although, in my view, there are instances when they have fallen prey to the national government planning. So national government will come and decide counties in its manifesto. Counties are going to do industrial parks. You have not consulted those counties. And then they decide in the plan, we are going to do industrial parks, and county must put in 250 million per year, and we will put in another 250 million.
Okay.
You didn't consult these chaps. They had their own CIDP. It means they have to rework their budgets to look at that. Oftentimes, it will be the governor who is probably in the mrengo of the government of the day who will then align to ensure that happens.
Okay.
But properly speaking, what is intended is that the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet will be driven by the CIDP. That the people of Elgeyo Marakwet decided that these are the things we want to implement, and once they are given their monies, they will deploy their monies towards implementing those budgets.
But now that brings the issue of now county revenue allocation, which has been a sore subject since the beginning of devolution, and has been a place where the Senate could have shown its teeth as far as supporting county governments, but it has not really been felt. I think with Jubilee, it was control of the House. Maybe that was the issue, or I don't know. But the Senate sometimes seems to toe party lines as opposed to protecting devolution.
Actually, in every year, the Senate has had a tussle with the Treasury, with the national government, with the National Assembly on division of revenue. And every year we pitch for a high amount,
Yes.
but we never get. But every next year we've had some level of increment. Of course, not to the satisfaction of the Senate.
Oh, okay.
But that goes hand in hand with the other issues. We have not yet, the national government is still holding a lot of county functions through parastatals. For instance, this Senate has insisted that the parastatals that are actually holding county functions must be dissolved. And those funds, our simplistic argument is that at the very least, the funds that are actually being held by these parastatals can actually be added to the equitable share of counties.
For
and those
example?
parastatals are quite a number.
Like which one?
You have the roads, Kura. You have Kera. You have the regional development blocks, which are carrying out mandates that are actually already with the county. So you wonder what they're actually doing. You will have a number of parastatals in the health sector. You will have a number, even KEMSA. KEMSA supplies county governments only.
Yeah.
Except KEMSA does not supply any medication to Kenyatta National Hospital. But it is a national government
Oh, actually,
parastatal.
did not know it does not
Yes.
supply
It only,
level 6.
no, it doesn't. It supplies only the county governments. So properly speaking, it should be an inter-county.
Yep.
You know, our constitution has provisions for intergovernmental relations and allows for counties to cooperate as counties. It allows for national government and county governments to cooperate. So we should be morphing some of these parastatals, if we find them very, very important, into intergovernmental parastatals. One of those would be KEMSA, which will be intercounty. Another one will be NSDCC, the former National AIDS Control Council, is actually a very important strategic parastatal that has been coordinating issues around syndemic diseases, TB, malaria, HIV. And that coordination is important. So we should retain that as an intergovernmental parastatal. But you find many ministries, for some reason or other, are keen on holding on to county governments through these parastatals.
It's the national government that is keen on retaining the centralization of things,
Yes.
which is where the beef with the Senate comes in.
Yeah.
Because it appears that the Senate is just walking by as these things are happening 15 years down the road, and we still have, senators telling us the same thing. Some of these issues should be county functions, there should be unbundling of functions and so on and so forth. Is the Senate playing the role that it was given by the Constitution? Hold on to that thought. Let's respond to that after this break. 27 minutes after 8. Senator Catherine Mumma is our guest this morning, and we're talking about protection and support of the devolution. Is the Senate playing that role? We'll be back in a moment. And if you've got questions or comments, you can call in, you can send on our WhatsApp number, or you can post on our social media platforms.
Yes. Some feedback here on YouTube. The Kikombe says, question, senators are constitutionally mandated to oversee county governments. In Kenya today, why have we seen more scandals than solutions under the Senate's watch? Amani mchezo wa town. I think Eric, just before the break, had also tried to push to say, it's the same thing we've been hearing over and over again. We need to unbundle, we need to. So why does it still persist?
Right.
Maybe we start there.
The standoff between national government and the Senate over revenue sharing will happen every year, and then, then they'll come to a solution. But counties are still saying, you know what, we need a lot more. We're still underfunded. some of our functions are still at national government. So then, yeah, it seems we're stuck in a cycle, Senator.
Actually, one of the things we had a tussle on at the CIC was whether to make the Treasury an independent institution rather than a national government institution. I was in the minority, which was that the Senate should be, the Treasury should be an independent institution. Now, if you listen to the way the the Treasury contributes to this conversation, it is clearly aligned to the national government, always speaks as the mouthpiece for the national government, and forgets that it is a service provider for both county governments and national government. It is always ready to provide an excuse on why they will not provide, for instance, the funds that Council of Governors or Senate feel should be shared in any one year. The national government has not done much to ensure that the National Assembly, for instance, despite the fact that the Auditor General has actually worked hard and audited, is now up to date in auditing the accounts for the previous year. The National Assembly deliberately fails to consider those accounts because it knows the equitable share is based on the last audited and considered accounts. So even as we are sharing, we are not sharing on the latest.
Oh, okay. So wait, the Auditor General has released the audited reports?
Yes.
But National Assembly is purposefully...
They're like 3 years behind.
We are 2 years behind.
I thought it was
so
the
we
AG
use the equitable share is on the basis of
the last audited accounts.
Yes, and we are 2 years behind. So counties keep getting shortchanged because they won't consider the up-to-date reports, because if they do so, it means counties will get more because they will be using the latest accounts. And it means the national government keeps retaining the bulk of the monies because we keep increasing revenue collection in every next year.
And yet the Senate is quiet.
No, we have spoken about this all the time. We actually have done. What can you do, Eric?
Tell me, what does the Constitution, how much power does the Constitution give the Senate to make sure that the interests of county governments are protected?
There is the powers, the issue I've just talked about is actually based from the Constitution. It is the Constitution that says the last audited
and considered
accounts. And so it's the Constitution in this instance. The Senate cannot argue that can we use the ones for last year because they're ready. Can you guys finalize that? Because the Constitution says otherwise. In terms of, I've said the limitation of the Senate's consideration of bills to bills affecting counties is also a limitation, a constitutional limitation that actually, that makes, again, the National Assembly, the National Executive take advantage of that and say, we will not take this bill to the Senate. And there are a few times when they have passed a bill on a county function, and we've told them, we need to look at this bill. They've passed it and it's gone, and the courts have stopped. So there's been litigation. The Senate usually goes to court when they pass a law that we think should have passed through the Senate, and it doesn't pass through the Senate. We usually go to court. But we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans, how much are we going to spend on litigation instead of people just being reasonable and implementing?
But the public translates it as Senate being passive. So maybe even within what you've explained, and you have, how then do you continue to restore public trust even as you are pushing?
We have, at the moment, we are drafting a constitutional amendment bill that will ensure that the Senate is not undermined and the Senate is brought on board. My view is if that constitutional amendment bill is supported by Kenyans to understand that the role that Senate plays is important enough, not just for the Senate, but for safeguarding, in my view, the entire governance system, not just for counties, but even at the national level.
That bill
Yeah.
will need to go to the National Assembly, won't it?
Yes, we don't need to.
It's not a popular initiative.
No, it is a popular initiative.
So you
in
want
my
it to
view.
come outside
I was on that team. My view is it's a popular initiative. We should take it to the people of Kenya to
So it's
decide.
a citizen who will sponsor,
Yes.
groups of citizens who will sponsor it. So
No.
it goes directly,
Yes.
popular initiative, collection of signatures to a referendum,
Yes.
not through the National
Because
Assembly.
we are
if it's
speaking
going
to
through the National Assembly, then
It's
you know.
dead on arrival, yeah.
Yes, true. It will be dead on arrival. And my view is, when will legislators start looking at the issue from the point of view of Kenyans rather than what the National Assembly or what the Senate gains out of that? What will we gain? Our gain is to represent counties. Our gain should be to actually implement the Constitution. Our gain is to interpret the Constitution in a purposive way so that the spirit of what the people of Kenya wanted is implemented. Instead of looking at it to see how do we create a roadblock for the National Assembly. How can the National Assembly create a roadblock for the Senate? We are not here to serve the Senate. We are here to serve the people.
But you've seen, Senator, and you've actually given us various examples of this, that since 2010, there has been a very deliberate and calculated attempt at diminishing devolution. And we've seen it play out in Jubilee 1, Jubilee 2, and now in Kenya Kwanza 1, in the 11th, 12th, and now in the 13th Parliament. We have seen it. And what the public has been fed is that, number one, devolution is just a den of corruption. It's where corruption happens. Devolution is just an employment bureau. In fact, that's what members of Parliament, National Assembly say. It's just an employment bureau. These people don't even do anything. That's why you should give us the role of, this fuel, the road maintenance levy should be managed by MPs, because if you give it to governors, they will not do anything. So there's a deliberate attempt at that.
Yeah.
And the people who have been in the Senate and have now even sat in the county executives understands it, and they can see this. But there is no concerted effort to push back with a counter-narrative. There's no counter-narrative that has come from governors or from senators that show this is how devolution is working and this is how devolution is under threat. Governors are willingly accepting for the national government to fund some of their functions. When governors come and they are proudly telling us how the national government is, paying some of the, community health promoters, that's governor just sitting there not understanding their job. Or a governor coming to say, you know what, the national government is funding half of the development of markets. Or the national government using the housing levy is going to develop markets. That is completely a governor who is ceding their authority to the national government.
Or are the hands tied?
Now,
How can they decide, actually?
To start with, on your point as to whether corruption has been devolved or corruption or is at the county levels, I would want to push back on that. Actually, bulk of the funds in this country are at the national level. The major corruption practice, the kitchen for corruption, is at the national government. And yes, we have some instances. We have instances of corruption in the county governments, but I would say that is an ill that is embedded within the Kenyan society. So it will manifest in the 47 locations, it will manifest in the national government, and I think it is wrong to say devolution is not working because some county official is corrupt. If we were to use corruption as the measure for determining whether devolution should go on or not, then Kenya needs to close. Maybe Kenya needs to be handed over to somebody else because national government is also corrupt. So who should come and run Kenya? Since national government is corrupt, county governments are corrupt. What we need to do is, as you say, how do we push back? How do we play our role as the different institutions? And I'd like to push back and say the Senate has actually been pushing this. We have more than 15 cases in which Senate was involved trying to push back against clawback on devolution, against clawback on Senate roles. By the way, sometimes even against clawback on, we have cases where even county governments did not want Senate to oversight because we carry out our job on oversight very well. And our oversight role is collective. So we carry out through the committees, and those committees are not a joke when we invite the governors on how they're delivering on their functions. Counties are employment bureaus. Now, I would like to tell you, when we rolled out devolution, the counties, the first counties actually attempted to do their own human resource structure and to employ afresh based on their functions. This was resisted then. And the national government said, no, we have, as we devolve functions, we will devolve functions with all the workers who are on those functions. We will devolve all the workforce of the former local authorities to the counties. So the counties started off with a blotted human resource. They are always blamed as though they're the ones who've employed. Of course, they've added on. When every governor comes, they've promised a few jobs, and they'll bring on a few more people. But we began with just employing everybody who was under the local government and bringing on the ones who were there.
Right.
But the issue of parallel public service needs to be addressed at both levels. I'd like you people to go and interrogate how many advisors we have in the national government per senior officer. You might find that the president's advisors might be more than the cabinet. You might find that the ones for deputy president might be more than the cabinet. You might find the collective of advisors to CSS might be more than the cabinet.
You called it parallel public service.
I'm calling it a parallel public service because it's not overt, it's not clear, but somehow the public service keeps clearing it. And then when you go to government, you'll find, by the way, there is one county we found which has employed 30 chief officers. And we oversight, we tell them, what is this? You have a cabinet of 12.
A maximum of 10.
And a maximum, yes, of 10 or 12. But you have 30, 35 chief officers. And the same governor has another parallel of advisors. There are so many. So somebody needs to do some interrogation on the parallel public service that exists. So that is an ill that is at both levels. And we need to hold our both. We made the Public Service Commission independent to try and assist us on this. The question is, why do they allow that to happen? Because for those people to be there, the public service must clear them. Why do county public service boards allow that? And we are questioning. I can assure you, the Senate for the county bids, we are actually questioning that. There are 2 counties we put on task. Very soon you may see it in media, where we are actually interrogating whether they can just keep employing. And we are looking at the law. Every time we interrogate counties, we find is there a loophole in the laws or regulations that is facilitating this to happen. And once we find out that is happening, we actually bring in a law to try and deal with that.
Sorry, Jan, I know you have a question.
I
wanted to just briefly switch to impeachments of governors and use 2 case studies. Let me do former Governor Mike Sonko versus Kawira Mwangaza. One almost sailed through The other one, lots of resistance from the Senate. It was, I think, Governor Kawira's impeachment was rejected at the Senate.
Which one? First, second, third?
There was one that was rejected.
The
third. Was
The third
rejected
is
at
when
the
she
Senate.
was
Impeached.
she was impeached on the third.
No, but then
The first
Senate
was rejected.
Yes,
The second was
rejected as
yes.
well at the Senate.
Yes.
So, from an oversight perspective, walk me through the difference, because Governor Sonko's almost seemed seamless.
Sambili asubuhi.
Yes, yes. And then with Governor Kawira, yes, there was a lot of pushback, and it's like, okay, is this the Senate doing its job and saying this does not meet the threshold for impeachment, or are there other factors at play politically for
Now,
either Governor Sonko or Governor Kawira?
Impeachment processes are both political and legal, quasi judicial. In the end, the vote decides. So there'll be charges against governor, charge 1, A, B, C, D. We look at it, or we are supposed to look at it on the merit of the charge and find out whether the county assembly has brought enough evidence. And then we determine that you brought enough evidence, and therefore the impeachment stands, or you did not bring enough evidence, impeachment does not stand. But it also has a lot of political maneuvering. And woe unto you if you are the governor, which the majority side, sometimes backed by the national government, decides that it is time for you to go. Because it is the vote that will decide in the end. So you will look through, you will see on charge 1, they say she has done this. On looking on the evidence, we don't think she has done it.
Yeah.
On charge 2, she has done this, we think this one she did it. And by the way, you only need to be found guilty on one, and you're gone. So we did find, we didn't send Kawira home the first time, we didn't send her home.
The second time.
The second time. The third time, there was political mobilization. It was not in the spaces that were mobilizing. So I will not give any evidence on what happened, but all I know is that she then went home.
Let me ask you, Senator.
And I think the Sonko was pretty much similar.
In hindsight,
Yes.
should we have put this as a requirement in the Constitution to balance between the politics and the quasi-judicial? Because it appears the whole judicial process is just nonsensical. In the end, it's the politics that will carry the day.
No, thankfully, you can appeal in the courts. Thankfully, you can appeal in the courts. And there are impeachments that have been reversed in the courts. So I'm glad that the matter is able to be moved to the court, because once it goes to the court, I think the court will then look at, even though you voted this way, the court focuses on the merits of what you decided, but also on the process. And oftentimes, the procedure, if you didn't follow the procedure well, then that is considered and the impeachment is overturned. But impeachment is seriously political.
Seriously and largely political. I'm curious whether things like the Devolution Conference hold any, I don't want to say relevance, I don't know whether that's the right choice of word. Basically, do you have any expectations, or are there any tangible outcomes that sometimes you sit and wait in expectation of how DevCon is going to conclude?
Devolution Conference is in my view, a very, very good thing that we introduced. And I have attended all of them. The first Devolution Conference, I remember the Senate of the day boycotted it. And national government boycotted it. I remember President Uhuru Kenyatta was invited, he refused to turn up. The Senate did not turn up except for Gideon Moi. Gideon Moi was the only senator that, then Sonko turned up later, 2 of them in Mombasa. And my chair then, Charles Nyachaya, had to step in to give the key address. The Devolution Conferences is a space where I would advise many people to attend. You get to learn to know. It's the one space where you get to know the gains. The counties take time to share the milestones that they have, what they have done well. You get forums, like you will have a plenum, you'll have the main plenary where you'll have panels, but you'll have 30 side events simultaneous going on where you can actually learn quite a lot on what's happening. And for those who attend, it is a good educative forum. By the way, many Kenyans don't seem to understand how devolution should be functioning, and many times you'll find they're confused around what is the role of the county government, what is the role of the national government, what is the role of an MCA. That's why MCAs go and they tell people they will give them roads during campaigns, and we just clap for them as if they have that function. That's why we also, even the senators, some of them will promise roads before they get to the Senate and realize they have no money to give anybody roads. So it is a place where you learn. It can be improved by getting, in my view, greater participation by national government to have a comparative. You know, our type of devolution is a cooperative and collaborative type of devolution. So the national government, even on health, the national government will be doing the policy, will be doing the standards, and county governments will be implementing based on that policy. So it was intended that we have a lot of collaboration between the two levels and among the counties. It was intended that we have cooperation. But in my view, Eric, the weakest link for devolution is that we have played competition between the two levels instead of collaboration. So that even when we do conditional grants, it is done outside of the law. It is done with a bully mentality instead of a conversation between the two that would actually deliver services better. So that is a space where I would want to see greater participation by national government to actually end up with or demonstrate to Wananchi how national and county governments can collaborate for better service delivery to Kenyans, as was intended by Article 6. But we are still in that mode of national government wanting to show it's the one delivering services, county government, of course, defending their corner because their functions are being taken, and everybody trying to be focused on themselves instead of focusing on the collective entity of the governance systems.
Sort of focusing on the people, the people who should be receiving. But maybe it should be beginning from the people and what the people demand of their leaders. When you have all these MPs going around the constituencies, and they ought to be showing that they're doing something, and they want to have resources to do that something. Our national president, who's everybody's asking, huyu atajai kujengea barabara, huyu rais ni nini? And so on and so forth. Maybe that's an issue. But also, I think, as we conclude, Senator, I feel that the people in devolution are many enough to overturn the narrative that devolution is a waste of time, is a waste of resources. Because that's the narrative that's out there. But there are so many people who would be ambassadors of it, and they are not playing that role. In fact, I was just counting here, and there are at least 2,383 people who are actively playing the devolution role. 2,222 MCAs, that is elected and nominated. 67 senators elected and nominated. 47 governors, 47 deputy governors. If you just count those ones, 2,383. Consider that we only have one president and a deputy and 23 cabinet members, 25, and 349 members of the National Assembly. That versus this, whose voice should we be hearing more of?
I hear you, and I think the naysayers, in my view, may be fewer. If you go to Mandera today and tell them that we should reverse devolution, they will tell you, go to hell. When we started, the near bulk of the health workforce in Mandera were not reporting to work. In fact, they were employed with NGOs elsewhere. But when Governor Roba got in, now Senator Roba, chair of our finance, in 1 year, he had actually employed possibly 200% of the nurses that were there. And health services changed completely. Fast cesarean section happens after devolution. Tell me, are those people in Kenya? Many places, Turkana the health services were being run by the Catholic Church.
The point is, Senator, all of you, the many of you,
yes, we can do it.
Should be preaching louder. That message louder than the few who are not. Senator Catherine Mumma has been our guest for this hour. In the next hour, do you know whether what you're consuming is poisonous? It could actually be harming you just because of what was used to spray onto it when it was being grown. That's a conversation we'll be having shortly. Keep it here for that. It's 9 a.m.